and has is the result of a lot of groundwork by a lot of people, and we are working to accomplish the mission here during the next 12 months. And our goal is to take the results of this planning effort and use those to finance major projects throughout our CID. All of you know that we need a lot of work throughout the CID from top to bottom, and this is the way that we're going to get it done. I'm going to introduce, well, I want to introduce our partner here, the Atlanta Regional Commission, and Daniel Studdard, who is muted here, but he can unmute if he'd like, is the brains of the Atlanta Regional Commission. Daniel has coordinated some of these freight studies in other parts of Metro Atlanta, and he's as excited as we are about moving this one forward. Daniel, any comment?
Yeah, thank you, Emery. I don't know if I'm the brains of ARC, but I'll certainly take it. Yeah, as Emery said, the idea of our freight cluster plans out of our 2016 regional freight plan to really do some localized plans focused on industrial areas like the Metro South CID. Recently completed 4 of these plans, one of them right next door to you, basically, with Atlanta Metropolis CIDs. We recently kicked off the Metro South CID plan and another one over on Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and expect one coming in Northwest Atlanta around the Inman Yard area. All these together, it's really probably the biggest focus on freight planning and traffic congestion and economic development that we've seen possibly ever at ARC, especially in such a short time period. So we're excited to have these going on, and then all these plans will then be wrapped together into a bigger regional plan. So certainly what you're doing, you're hyper-focused locally, but at the same time, it's part of a bigger regional effort to find all these local needs and then bring it together at the regional level to then hopefully fund some things and get projects moving towards implementation. So excited that we're moving forward and look forward to your input on this process.
Thank you, partner. And I am going to turn it over to our team leader, Wade Carroll, and his right hand, Caroline Evans, to introduce us and get us rocking and rolling. Again, welcome, and we're excited about moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Well, Emery, Daniel, you did a pretty good job of kind of setting the stage for the study. So stole a little bit of my thunder, but that's okay. I did, before we get going though, I think, as when we were pulling together even this presentation, I think, the Metro South, this quote actually comes from their mission statement to assist property owners, businesses, and individuals to promote common interests. That's something that we are here to do. So while we have a freight mobility focus, we are certainly looking at other elements that we'll talk through as we go through the presentation. So, all right. So just briefly, so we're going to talk a little bit, of course, just to let folks know, we're going to introduce the steering committee and who is helping us pull this together in a collaborative fashion, introduce us a little bit, then go through actually what the plan will entail, what some of the major tasks are, and also how, the steering committee will be involved throughout the process. And then the real crux of this meeting is, of course, for us to talk less and for us to listen more. So we definitely want to get into an exercise, what I think is pretty neat. It's a mural exercise. Caroline will kind of walk us through and guide us through. And then talk a little bit, of course, then about maybe what we talk about. We'll summarize those results. And then we'll talk a little bit, cue you up for what the next meeting will entail. So pardon all the letters, but I definitely wanted to, I added this slide to kind of just represent what a collaborative effort, what we would wish for this to be. Obviously, we have our MSCID representatives here and so forth and ARC, but it's really imperative. We're really excited to have the folks here from DeKalb County and also from the Georgia Department of Transportation, because as we move forward through this process, it'll be important that the recommendations that we come up with really jive with their work programs and so forth. Also invited on the steering committee is also our neighboring jurisdictions. So from Clayton County and the city of Atlanta, we're glad to have those folks aboard as well. And of course, for workforce access, it doesn't really work without MARTA involvement. So, but outside the box kind of representation too, I think I'm really happy about. I'm really happy to have Connor Poe from Norfolk Southern to participate. It's going to be really critical to coordinate with the railroad with Norfolk Southern to ensure that that we have a thorough understanding of what their operations are moving ahead. So not only with the issues like on Rico and of course Cedar Grove, but we can just get an idea of how to best manage that and try to plan around what their operations may be. And of course we have Wayne here. Didn't have you bolded yet, Wayne. Sorry, I didn't realize we bolded the folks that had accepted. So glad to have Wayne. And then I think I'm really also happy to have representative from a nearby neighborhood association, Starlight Heights and Ingram Boxbaum. I think having the nearby residential communities will really help us move forward. And of course, Black Hall Studios they've been creating a lot of energy within the area. So we're really happy to have the participation of this very diverse group. Briefly, we are the lead firm, Metro Analytics. Again, my name is Wade Carroll. We are basically the ones that are going to be really helping craft the work program based on the efforts of our team, and also taking a look at some of the best practices in freight and economics. We're very happy to have HNTB, who does a lot of work for the GDOT. They understand both the policies and practices of the agency. They also do a lot of work with MARTA as well. So they can really help us with not only the traffic end, but also help us with some of the multimodal characteristics. Another key element I think that really helps us with the study is we have two firms that are involved on the engagement end. So Caroline, who you see here today, she is with Blue Cypress, and they're going to be leading our steering committee and sort of our outreach with our website and our social media. But a real key element as well, we also have Inga Kennedy from PEQ here, and she's going to be leading more of the interview process and getting into some of the deep issues to follow up on and dig a little deeper on some of the things that we don't necessarily get to address on a higher level committee meeting. So, and then lastly, but I think it's a pretty key element of the team. We do have Kim Blakely Advisory Group that is with us. They are a market in real estate, and so you're thinking freight mobility. Well, why? Well, they will help us. If we're really looking at economic development, I think they'll help us help understand what maybe some of the demand and some of the shifts may occur. This is particularly true with the emergence of Black Hall and their prosperity and so forth. And so I think that there's a lot of moving parts to this study, and we're going to do our best to try to craft them all together into a very transparent process and a way that you can understand and be involved in this exciting study. So what is a freight cluster plan? And that is a question that we've we've answered. We're still refining, but I think it's really coming to focus. I think the overall, of course, first and foremost, it is to improve freight mobility. And I think that we all understand that businesses won't want to locate in a specific area if freight movement is not facilitated and it can't meet their needs. But we also want to do other things, maybe look at some development issues, and try to come up with some strategies to maybe build off of what was here, and to facilitate economic development. And so, and by the way, I forgot to mention when we got started, but we want this meeting to be as open as possible. So if we're going through some of our slides and so forth, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question or put a question into the chat room as we move ahead. I think we want to make sure that everybody's on board, and I do have a tendency of getting through these slides a little quickly just so we can get into the input session. So, but the key focus areas, I think we really do, the bottom line is, yes, we are going to focus on the transportation and economic development. We also definitely want to look at market sectors and what's happening now. But I think a real key element when you start talking with the folks with the CAB and GDOT is we don't want to come up with solutions that cannot be built. We want to take a look at what some of the quick wins, if you will, take a look at, some relatively lesser cost improvements and so forth, and try to move trucks in the best way we can, just so we can position ourselves for funding and improvements in the future. And I can't, even though it's towards the bottom of the page, I can't emphasize this bullet enough. We really do want to make, we want to make sure that the nearby communities can still thrive, that we're not a detriment to them as we move forward with our recommendations. It's a very important element from us at a local level, but also I see Daniel nodding his head. It's also it's an issue from a regional perspective as well. And of course, this cannot happen if we do not have a really good, solid engagement with the private sector. We definitely have to understand where the folks, what our logistics companies are doing, what their needs are, what Black Hall's needs are, what their growth plans are, and some of the trends in the industry. So altogether, these will probably set the basis for what our goals and objectives we'll probably be moving forward for, and how we evaluate projects. But I definitely wanted to kind of set the stage for what this study intends to do. Our project overview, we have what you see here, and again, I know there's a lot of lines here, but I think there's really three main things that I really want to pull out. One is, of course, we definitely want to finish. We want to have a plan adopted by the end of February. So that's the end game. But however, there are critical elements within our schedule that we really are working towards. And the most critical is meeting our deadline and having this blue triangle number 7, having our recommendations finalized and ready to go, and having a work program that's signed off by GDOT and DeKalb County. And the reason why this date is so important is because that really then feeds into helping the county and the CID and GDOT work together to get to identify projects that we want to do. We want to enter into, say, for federal funding and the upcoming solicitation program from the Atlanta Regional Commission. So working to this point, I think some key elements are, of course, we're here today to introduce the study, to hopefully get you involved and get you excited and keep you here. And then in July, by July, we'll be in a position we'll have done our inventory and assessment report. We'll have a thorough understanding of what some of the needs are. And we'll far enough in our traffic study as well that we'll have a pretty good understanding of maybe what some of the projects and so forth that may come to light. I think it's very important to know that there are already planned projects within the area that we'll also have to reconsider and kind of meld into a revised work program. So during this process, of course, we will be reaching out to both GDOT and DeKalb. So the stakeholder, the steering committee meeting won't be our only interaction with them. There'll be some offline interaction as well as we move towards this. So then we'll be back here. We'll be back after Halloween, to present the final results. And then we have an optional meeting here shown on the schedule, after the holidays. If indeed something happens through the process where the work program needs to change, either shifts in funding, God forbid, a new transportation bill. If there's some things that happen with that from a policy level that make some adjustments, we'll come back to you to make sure that you're still on the same page, so forth. So with that, I want to now turn it over. I will be turning over to Caroline Evans. And so we have a neat exercise. It's a mural exercise. And so we definitely want to grab some input on some real critical needs. And so I'm going to go ahead and let you take the screen and share the screen there, Caroline.
All right, great. Thanks,
introduce
Wade.
process. Thank you.
All right. Give everyone a second to get my screen catching up with you all. So what we're really trying to do today is make this more interactive and simulate an in-person meeting. And since we can't all be together, we would like to hear from you anyway. And we want to make sure that we're capturing your feedback and getting your input. So we are going to do that using, like Wade said, these mural boards. And there's 2 ways. We're going to ask you some questions, and Wade's going to lead you through a discussion about the CID area. And there's 2 ways that you can participate. We invite you to either type your responses in the chat or to raise your virtual hand or unmute yourself and just speak. We'd love to hear from you either way. And as you answer these different questions, I'll be doing my best to scribe them all and capture your ideas on sticky notes. And I'll show you what that means in just a minute. So as we get started, we're going to go through 2, maybe 3 different boards. The first board, we're going to do a little brainstorming session for about 5 minutes about what's going really well in the CID. We want to hear from you about amenities that you love, places you want to highlight, policies you think are working well, other things like that. Then we'll switch over to board 2, where we'll brainstorm issues within the CID. And this is where we're going to spend the majority of our time, because although we want to preserve the things that are going well, you know, we're really here to drive change. And so we'd like to hear about the issues that you're seeing. You know, these could be related to some of the things that are listed here, like truck traffic conflicts. This went funny. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Development challenges that we will use should we need to. Hi, I'm sorry. I think my Zoom quit.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry about
Welcome
that,
back.
everybody. You never can tell with these virtual meetings. Let me reshare my screen. Wade, can you tell me where it went bad and I can start over from there?
That's okay. I think we can keep moving. I think
okay.
I can kind of walk us through. So that's okay.
Great.
Caroline.
Well, then let's
we'll just
zoom over
let's
to
go to that first board and we'll get moving.
All right, good. Thank you. So basically what we're doing is we're showing a couple of maps and we're going to ask you some questions. And as we do, we're going to use these sticky notes to, I'm going to capture your answer. So type your comment here. And then we're also going to be able to place them on the map. So if there's somewhere that you particularly want to highlight or some area that you're talking about, we'll work together to make sure I get those in the right place.
Yeah.
If you like something, you can vote it up or down with by telling me like, oh, hey, I love that, you know, give me a thumbs up on that comment, or I'm not sure I quite agree. And so basically what we'll do throughout this process is we'll create a record of the discussion that we have today that will then become part of the project record and that we'll build from here on.
And I guess, yeah, so what we've done actually is just to get the creative thought flowing. I know we've had some discussion internally with Emery and some of the other folks too. So the map you already see, we didn't label them on purpose because we wanted to try to show you how the exercise worked. So for example, you know, this is what's going well in the CID. All right. So obviously, I think one of the positive notes has been the Blackhall Studio. So go ahead and put that down there, and we drag them. And so we actually did put them right there. So we marked them there. And then you know, and as far as like maybe some issues, which we can, which will probably come up in the next, but one of the issues that we have identified that moving in is better connecting Constitution to Moreland. So I think that's an issue. So the Constitution Moreland can be added, and we drag that down. And then I think, uh-oh, Caroline, we're moving. There you go. And then say, so for example, so that's a good example. Another couple of issues that we already know is wreaking havoc is the Cedar Grove Bridge clothing. We understand that is a major that is a major concern for the folks in the CID, and trying to get that underway and get that fixed as soon as possible. And as an ancillary result, and of course, there is the Enrico Road at grade crossing that is now having to handle all the diverted traffic, and at this at grade crossing, of course, that's also having to function with Norfolk Southern trains and so forth that are very long, and so those are just some examples of kind of how this exercise would work. But before we go off, before we leave, and I guess we can also put sticky notes on either the aerial or the white one in case we run out of room. But before we leave this, and of course we have a chat room open, or feel free to unmute yourself. What is going right? I mean, what are some larger, what's going right, and what are some of the things that are exciting, and maybe what are some needs, overall larger needs beyond just what's a part of the study? And I'll just open the floor up, and I'll give it a few minutes.
And we didn't invite any shy people to this meeting.
Caroline, yeah, the view. Yeah, here we go.
It looks like Ingrid would like to chime in.
Okay, Ingrid?
Well, from my neighborhood's point of view, here. There, that's better. So from my neighborhood's point of view, a major win and something that's going to be, a big consideration for us as well is we're Starlight Heights neighborhood. And if you see where Constitution and Moreland intersection sticky note is, we're just slightly up and to the right of that. So we're going to be impacted by the truck traffic there. So we're super excited about Black Hall, but we also want to hopefully manage our concerns with the trucking, and keeping it off of Key Road. That's currently a big issue for us. Key Road is the edge of our neighborhood, and we have an issue with trucks on Key Road, and then coming up Charity from the Amazon distribution place. So we're excited to
That's
have
about the
some
right area.
input and hopefully, manage that to keep that commercial trucking out of our residential neighborhood.
Okay. Anyone else?
We have Pat Culp on this call.
Great.
And, she is another neighborhood leader. She's one of the superstars, and she is. I think one of the good things that is going on is the fact that we've got Ingrid and Pat on this call, and that we are having good communications between the businesses and the residents in the areas around us. Pat, are you there?
Yes.
And I'm assuming everyone's unmuted.
Yes, everybody is allowed to speak. They're allowed. They have the wherewithal to pop the mute. Well,
Wade, I'll say something. There's some good path planning going on that'll connect from Entrenchment Creek Park all the way up to Custard and Moreland.
okay.
There's real money behind that. So
Okay, good.
In that area.
So, Caroline, that's actually, if you wanted to put something in there, I think that's just south of the Black Hall Studios there. Or is that north of Constitution? No, it's north of Constitution, isn't it? Patrice, is that north?
Oh, it goes all the way up to Custard.
Okay, yeah, we'll just put it on there. Okay, well,
So
all right.
connect the South River Trail.
Okay, yep, okay. And the South River is there north of Black Hall there. Okay.
Well,
all right.
Wade, here's a good one. It's a good thing. It's the reconstruction of Boulder Crest to 285.
Yeah, that is definitely a good thing.
It looks like Brian has a question about what the status of that interchange reconfiguration is. Does anyone have an update?
All right, Larry, you put yourself on the spot.
Well,
I think they're doing some right-of-way acquisition.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Right away. I think Patrice, the construction schedule I saw was 2023. Has that changed any?
I would have to look. I haven't looked at it, but I can look and let y'all know.
You know what? I think what we'll do is I think we're gonna call an audible here, Caroline. I think why don't we stay with this board and we'll go ahead and transition into some of what maybe some of the issues are, and then when this board fills up, we'll maybe move on to the next board. I think that's probably, since we've already got a good view here and everything else. So
Joshua Higgins here from GDOT District 7. On the status of the Boulder Crest 285 interchange, that's scheduled to be let off on January of 22, winter of 22, according to the PSR. But I can follow up with the project manager and get a better accurate, timeline on that project.
Great.
The truck drivers will be very happy.
Yes, I'm sure.
Truck drivers and anybody who lives off of Clifton Church and everybody else that has to go through that interchange.
We have a real big issue and a lot of complaints, though, is that the citizens in that area do not want the trucks on Boulder Crest. They want them on Moreland. So while some people are happy, some people are not very happy. So I think that Southeast DeKalb planning process that went through, y'all probably need to take a look at that to see there's a definite rub between the residential component and the industrial component in that area. And so that you can look for win-wins in your plan based on that plan, because there's already an adopted plan for the Boulder Crest area.
Yeah. And I know that's, obviously that interchange has to accommodate trucks because of the pilot there and the truck parking and the industrial, but maybe not the entire, there may be opportunities there to help the surrounding neighborhoods though, maybe beyond that immediate impact. I understand. Okay.
It's very sensitive and we want to be mindful of that.
Okay. All right. So, while we're on the subject of that, we will be, of course, doing truck traffic counts and identifying some bottlenecks, but we certainly like to have, some data from folks that are out there in the neighborhood to help either validate that or kind of help support what we hear. I guess, where are the major conflict points, that you're observing as folks in the district related to truck traffic? And I'll go ahead and I already know, we know about the Continental, but we'll go ahead and take that improvement, but I'll go, where are those areas though that you think that need the most attention, that to help fix truck traffic conflicts? And I open that to everyone.
Wade, what is the status of the 675 and Cedar Grove Road interchange? I know we got folks on here from GDOT. As Patrice just stated, a lot of the folks that are unhappy is in the Boulder Crest area because trucks are going through Boulder Crest. And at some time in the past, I know they set up a potential exit entrance ramp off of 675 there at Cedar Grove Road. Do we have a status on that?
No, I have I have not actually researched that. This is actually the first time I've actually was aware that was being considered. So we are just getting into the study, but it's something we will definitely look into as a possible alternative. I think it definitely would need to be considered. So 675 Cedar Grove interchange, I think we'll go ahead and put that on the list to take a look at.
That may have gotten moved south into Clayton County.
But we'll do it. We'll definitely look into it though. We'll just see what the status is, and because even the Clayton County location may still be able to alleviate and help us out. Okay.
I see a
it doesn't
comment
sound
from
like there's that many problems.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say, I see a comment from Brian.
I'll volunteer. I know Continental and Boulder Crest is a mess. So I'll go ahead and put that there because I've done field work.
Well, Emery, we have a lot, but I don't want to take over the stage because I want others to participate.
Right.
And then I also am capturing one from Brian from the chat that truck parking along collector roads is an issue.
We certainly see that along Industrial Park and of course on the Continental Way near the pilot, just because of the overflow. So we certainly are interested in that. And in fact, Well, I didn't want to go away from truck traffic. Maybe if it comes back, we'll revisit it. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about truck parking, since I know that that's a hot issue throughout this area and the region. I guess with respect to truck parking, I guess we want to ask, where are the most issues with truck parking prevalent? I know I had mentioned some that I had just observed, Continental Way and Industrial Park there near the pilot. Are there any other roadways where truck parking is becoming an issue, just parking on collector roadways?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Clifton Springs, and it can spill further over. Like I've seen some stuff along near Wildcat, almost over near the Georgia State campus. And I don't know enough about the freight industry to kind of see what problems or cost prohibition there is for people who work in the industry finding places to park their vehicles when they're not in service. And I, to be fair, that we're seeing that countywide, not just in this area, but those are some of the areas where I've seen out of service trucks kind of parking on the shoulders, and maybe some of our not quite filled to capacity commercial spaces. And sometimes when we get calls from the community, the communique comes along with them saying, if the trucks weren't parking here, we'd likely be able to get redevelopment or new investment, things of that nature. I don't know how founded that is, but that's just kind of the stuff that we hear from the planning department.
Okay. I guess, since truck parking is an issue, I guess, are there any idea? I know that there are a couple of lots. Are there any ideas just off the top? And of course, we'll be looking into that ourselves if you don't have, but are there any potential solutions that anyone on the call may have that you may have thought of, possibly helping direct trucks in the right direction and get them to where they need to be and to try to alleviate the illegal parking situation?
And we do have probably more truck parking legally in our area than any other part of Metro Atlanta, but we have a large number of areas where trucks are just backed up waiting and blocking roads as they're waiting, either to go into a truck wash or to go into the pilot truck stop.
Has anybody noticed the trucks parked on Old McDonough Highway going into the truck wash bay? Raise your hand.
Yeah, for the last week, they've been backed up all the way to Thurman. That's a bottleneck trying to get to the truck wash out there, trying to get to Transport City Drive.
So that's an issue, obviously, not only for the local network, Wayne, but also for the on-system state highway as well, because the Thurman Road is a state highway. And I've seen trucks actually not just backed up to that radius, but also on Thurman Road a number of times.
Right.
Caroline, don't worry. I know
Larry, while you're talking about Thurman Road, right while people are focused there, just to the left of where the word Moreland is, at the intersection of Thurmond and Old McDonough, you've got some issues there. You want to?
That's what I was referring to. So the folks are backing up on Old McDonough, backing up into the intersection of Cedar Grove, Thurman, and Old McDonough.
And it's a truck wash. That's the main culprit there.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I shouldn't say culprit. Main catalyst.
and there's a lot of possible solutions that we've talked about over the years. They all cost money. And And so that's a real problem area. That's not just a matter of blocking a part of a state highway system, but the more critical issue is the fact that if you want to travel down Old McDonough from Thurman, Cedar Grove intersection, you have to pass about 10 trucks in the opposing lane. So you have to go in the opposing lane to get around all of those trucks sitting in that through lane on Old McDonough. And that is a real safety as well as a fire emergency issue. So that's all I have to say about that.
Larry, that's an issue I usually see with Chick-fil-A drive-thrus. I don't think I've ever seen what you just described as being related to a truck wash. And I'm looking at it on a map as you talk and see exactly what you're, because I can see on an aerial trucks queued, not on Old McDonald, but within their parking, not lot, but their queuing area for it. But it's almost full even in the aerial. So I can certainly be going on Old McDonald. So that's a unique one. Good to call that one out.
Well, in which I guess it's very unique, but because it's a 2-lane road, Daniel, it really is very compromising to those that are further down Old McDonough that want to get over to the intersection of Thurman and Old McDonough and Cedar Grove. And a lot of times I have seen cars go onto the shoulder because you have cars that are trying to pass the trucks that are queued in that through lane. So you've got basically 2 cars opposing each other trying to get through there because one lane is gone.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, there's a number of past that on Old McDonough, so that I definitely see that conflict without a doubt.
We also have trucks parking on Fleetwood, and we had in the past until the last year or so when law enforcement assisted the CID, but there have been trucks parking on Bailey Road as well. Until he recently, and so that's been a problem with trucks. Also on Henrico, and I think Wayne, you'll attest to this. Along sections of Henrico, as you come up the hill towards the tracks, I have seen trucks park. I wouldn't say in the shoulder, but there's some additional pavement out there in some areas of wide driveways where trucks are pulling off into those driveways and sitting there. So I've noticed that as well along Henrico.
That's correct.
I'll just say a lot of roads in this area need to be modernized. They're very narrow or curvy, or the shoulders need to be cleared. They're just kind of not inviting for development. I'll put it that way.
Yes. Not conducive to truck movements, right, Patrice?
Right, and just some of them are just, it's there's developers that are interested in putting facilities in this area, but the roads are, still, chip seal, or they're 20 feet wide or something. So there's a lot of infrastructure that would need to be installed to support the development demands.
Okay. Well, you kind of touched on something I definitely wanted to get in on this exercise. Development itself. I think what are the challenges that that we're seeing with getting new development or redevelopment in the area? Just in your opinion, and I've already heard the roadway, the actual status of the roadways is probably one of them from Patrice. But are there any other? I know we got some private sector folks here. Are there any other development challenges that are preventing you from, preventing either new development, expansion, or redevelopment, or whatnot? I just want to see if there's any input we can gather on this particular topic.
Well, big thing I would say, we've been talking about the overlay that came into the Metro South CID area. It's restrictive to businesses, and there's discussions going on now. We had a day spa open up down here on Moreland, And the Planning Commission has voted at the present time to leave the overlay as it is. And the overlay is making it very restrictive to new businesses as well as to existing businesses that want to expand, because requiring SLUP permits and things of that nature. The parking, we talked about parking a few minutes ago. A lot of the parking went away when the new folks came in and bought secured parking. That was over 400 parks went away. And then the new folks over off Henrico Drive, FedEx took that entire lot. So parking is at a premium.
Okay.
But the overlay right now and trying to get business permits, business licenses is a drawback.
Okay. And Caroline, trust me, I know we'll have to compare notes if we can't get them all sticky. I know it's been coming fast and furious. So, but I think I want to give you a kudos for you're doing a great job. Okay, and I guess that's we haven't heard from. Go ahead.
Wait, while we've got this map up, just to reiterate here, toward the bottom of the Google Earth map, we've got the two circles on the railroad, and just to make sure everybody understands, that bottom circle is where Cedar Grove Road goes over the Norfolk Southern Railroad. And that is a bridge that was condemned a year ago and has been closed for a year, forcing 600 tractor trailers a day to take an alternate route. Originally, they were running through the neighborhoods, and they've been rerouted to come up Bonsall and then down Henrico. And the second circle there on that railroad track is the crossing where those tractor trailers are crossing over the railroad track and often being delayed for extended periods of time, where they have to just back up and sit while a train stops and reworks its cars. So those are things that are current issues that are hot today.
Okay. Well, yep. Okay. So, one thing we haven't talked about, we've been focused on truck traffic and land use and things, but workforce access. As we're trying to develop a workforce, I think one of the things that we have noticed is that the transit service within the area is pretty spotty. It's not very well served, but what are some ideas if whether it's MARTA or whether it's some innovative ways, and this are folks that are familiar, what are some ideas that you might have to help improve workforce access to this district? I just because obviously getting people to jobs is all part of being successful in business. So I just wanted to pose that question.
Does anyone on the call have a problem getting their workers to
I guess
business?
We don't have any.
Okay. And that's also important to hear, and I guess, and I think another area we wanted to talk with a little bit is just looking at, what maybe some of the pedestrian needs. Are there particular areas? I know that, Patrice, you had mentioned the trail development. I think there may be, there'll certainly be, we'll need to take a look at maybe connecting those trails and so forth to surrounding neighborhoods. I was wondering though, were there any amongst your workers or amongst your observations, are there any particular, segments of the streets and so forth where sidewalk improvements are needed, or new sidewalks or anything like that, where you've seen an overall need? Because we certainly want to identify that, because honestly, if you're going to have transit, that's a big part of the workforce access itself. So I wanted to just try to see if that's an issue to the folks on the call. And if it is, where it can be improved.
So wait, let me throw something out since we're talking about work access. Constitution Road, and I know everybody's pretty silent. They're just waiting for somebody else to talk. So let me just say a few words about Constitution. So Constitution is a pretty significant corridor that connects Moreland over to 285, Boulder Crest, a lot of truck movement, obviously a lot more vehicle movement and other trucks as a result of the Black Hawk development plans. That corridor, the CID was able to obtain some GTIP funding here a year and a half ago. And so we're looking to DeKalb to help us with some match monies. But what's important to that road is not just for truck access, but also the concept that we have developed includes sidewalks. And as we know, there are MARTA bus stops on Boulder Crest, and there's a MARTA bus stop on Moreland, real close, I believe, to Constitution and Bailey. And so that provides that opportunity for folks to get to work at Black Hawk Studios if they take MARTA. That's very important. So that sidewalk system that is part of that concept for improvements to Constitution from Boulder Crest to Moreland is critical to the project. The project also has street lighting. It improves that awful 5-legged intersection that we have at Fayetteville, Fleetwood, Bailey, Constitution. It's that 5-legged intersection, just awful. There's also significant drainage problems along Constitution in that low spot along Constitution. Constitution is very narrow as well. It's a 2-lane road that is barely 20 feet in some areas. And so that project provides a lot of value to not just the CID, but all the business owners and the residents that live along Constitution. As we know, there's a residential community that is off of Fleetwood. And obviously that's not going to grow very much over the years. It's sort of hemmed in by industrial, but there is a residential sector within the middle of the CID that needs to be addressed. So I'm just saying the Constitution provides both vehicular, truck, as well as pedestrian enhancements that I think are critical to everybody that work, live, or play in the CID boundaries.
Okay. I'm seeing some traffic on the chat room, and unfortunately I can't access it from here. Caroline, do you have access to the chat? We can maybe just go through some of those as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Let me go back up. So I captured the trucking issue from Brian, and the ramps from Keith. Thank you for that. And the pilot discussion from Ingrid. And then I added the GDOT PI number to the Cedar Grove Road. And Ingrid, it looks like Larry responded that the CID is working with pilot on that issue and it's a work in progress. So I don't know, Larry, if you want to say anything else on that.
No, it's a work in progress. Pilot is, as Wayne will tell you, they are sometimes difficult to get a hold of. And so, I think whenever they do communicate with the CID, it will be a very positive communication. We just need to have them communicate. That's what's important here.
Great.
Try to be nice about that, Caroline.
That's okay. That's good. It looks like Patrice noted to the need for review and document of load restrictions on other bridges in the area. And so I captured that up here. And then it looks like, is that John said that that PI number, for 675 at Cedar Grove, is currently not in the GDOT construction work program. So he's going to follow up with planning and give us an update.
Right.
And then this MARTA stop, thank you, Ingrid. The MARTA stop right off Hillcrest Drive is direct access to Black Hall. So I'll capture that. And then Hillcrest and Key Road go directly up to the new studio and park. And right now it's dangerous to walk on this area, mainly due to fast trucks on Key, and there's no place to walk. Sidewalk needs.
And there's a comment there, Caroline, about the preliminary plan for construction of the road. Just came in from Jeff.
Yes, is there a preliminary improvement plan?
So Jeff, we have the CID developed a concept plan for Constitution of Bailey about a year and a half ago. So if you'd like, Emery or I can send that to you.
I would love that. Thanks. I haven't said much because I'm the new guy. And forgive my attire. I rushed home from the gym. Our gym just opened this week, so I can't miss it. But thanks for letting me participate here, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you in person sometime soon.
Thanks for being here.
Great. I also,
real quick, the GDOT project, is that in the long range plan even? Because if it's not in the long range plan at ARC, that's where you start.
Are you talking about the Cedar Grove at 675?
Yes.
I'm not really sure where that is. I have a feeling that that project has gone away because I don't think they could get an IMR for that location. They had to move it south.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to investigate where that stands.
We'll definitely dig into it.
Or IJR, I should say.
I guess we're starting to, we've got 7 minutes left on the schedule, and we are respectful of time. But I want to thank everyone for, this has been a very good conversation. This has actually been a fun exercise. It's my first time seeing all of this, just seeing all the comments that we have on the board. We'll go ahead and let's go ahead and switch out of this, and we'll go back to the presentation and kind of just close this out just so we can. But this has been fantastic. I want to thank everybody for helping us provide this. So, all right. So do I share now? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Excellent. So we definitely, we've gathered some really good input. I think we will be summarizing for you. We'll definitely put those, we will be putting our meeting minutes and some of the key caption key elements that we heard today out on our website, which I'll show you in our next slide. However, I want to just talk to you. So next time we come around, so next time you see us, right, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, we are doing a best practices review. And the point of that is to really take a look at what other folks are doing throughout the country, and as well as what's happening throughout the state, and maybe come report some potential ideas that we can maybe carry forward for this district. I think, though, the main crux of the meeting, though, will be presenting the results of the inventory and assessment report and really getting into the nuts and bolts of where we go from here. The inventory and assessment report will have identified where we know we have bottlenecks, where the severity of some of these problems will help us identify which projects maybe that are already in the pipeline may need to be revised. And also will give us a look at maybe, where we're seeing some of the conflict and with neighborhoods and things of that nature, and help us come together. And so this is really where we gather your input to help starting drill down in our recommendations and so forth, and where we move ahead. So that'll be the primary exercise next time. And
Wade, when will you be reaching out to all of the key property owners and business owners in the area?
You are right on my mindset. I was going to mention this on this slide here. So
okay,
we definitely we wanted to announce at this meeting. Inga Kennedy is on the call. We will be reaching out. We will be having stakeholder interviews. We wanted to go ahead and queue it up here at this meeting, but we will be reaching out to specific owners and businesses and so forth to conduct stakeholder interviews to really get a more deep dive in what some of these issues are that may not be, in an element that's more one-on-one that we can really take away. So we're going to start scheduling those probably by, you'll be hearing something from our folks probably within the next month. I know they'll continue out through April and May to help get a more drill down, more of a drill down input, beyond this. And so I would. Do
you want to solicit input from the steering committee here on who they should be contacting?
Well, we can. We certainly can.
You don't have to do it right this minute, but I'm thinking they might be aware of things that we on the steering committee may not be aware of.
Okay, I think what we'll do there is let me double back with Inga, and we'll figure out a way to double back with the folks on this call to make sure that we do get a robust list of interviewees. I know and so we don't miss anybody, but that'll be something we'll certainly do.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a few people on this committee who are on the stakeholder interview list. And so look to hear from us. And just so you know, we can conduct those interviews in any way that you prefer. We can do it by telephone, we can do it by Zoom, by Teams, whatever you prefer. But we'll be reaching out and getting a schedule together to talk with you one-on-one. And please feel free to invite others from your organization to participate as well.
So yeah, we do have a website up. Want to go ahead and let you folks know as we move forward. These meeting minutes, this meeting presentation will also be put on there. I know that Jeff Weber, I did see, asked about that. Of course, we can send it to you directly as well, as all you have to do is request. With that said, I just want to thank everyone again. I know we're at 12:29, so I want to thank everybody for participating. Feel free to reach out and go ahead, Emery.
One last question. Are there any issues that we've missed?
Oh, yeah.
That we didn't hit today that we should be hitting in this study? We've invited the smartest, most aggressive people in the area to be on this committee, and we want to make sure we hit all of those issues. I mean, this is a long-term study. This is something that's going to happen every 10 years. So we need to speak now and dig in on things before we finish this study, because this study is going to be what we work on for the next 5 or 10 years. The results of this study. Anything we've missed?
While everyone is pondering that question, Emery, just want to acknowledge that we have had a request. We have a request for the presentation, and that's something we normally do, is follow up and send the presentation out or post it to the website. So yes, just want to make sure everyone knows that they will have access to that.
Very good. Thank you.
And you may all see in the chat that Ingrid said that she would love to see the ability to expand trucking and logistics, but let that live in harmony with the neighborhoods. I think that's a great thing that I'm going to capture on the board.
Yes. Good. Okay.
Well, if I could chime in briefly, I'll just say to everybody else that part of what we want to hear too is opportunities. Obviously, it's transportation first and foremost, but I was on a stakeholder interview for our Fulton Industrial Boulevard plan and heard from a business manager that basically one of their challenges is there's no eat along the corridor. There's nowhere to go shopping, nowhere to get a haircut. And so while freight and logistics is obviously the primary focus, certainly in the area need to be able to grab some lunch. Same as if you live in the area. So things like that, certainly if that's an issue, we want that too. It's not something that can be fixed with an infrastructure project, but certainly it's related. And that's the thing that I've heard for another CID, but you may have a different. So certainly we want to hear about things like that can maybe be opportunities for workers, support residents, and everybody else in the area as well. So certainly, you don't have to right now, but certainly let us know anything like that may come up, and as we go forward over the next few weeks and months.
Good.
Thank you all. Emery, if we're ready to close the show, I want to just thank folks for being here.
And on behalf of the CID and our incredible board, thank you all for participating, and please be open with the crew. You've got everybody's email addresses and phone numbers, and reach out and let's make this happen. And as a result, there will be some amazing results throughout our area. Thank you.
Good job. Thanks, Wade.
Have a good day.
Thank
you, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for being here.